Hi guys, my name is Philip Port. I've been an immigration advisor, a British immigration advisor for about 20 years. And today I'm gonna explain how to complete the online application to settle in the UK with your husband or wife. For this video, I'm not going to include children. I'm going to base it on that your husband and wife in the UK, British citizen, are in full-time employment earning above £18,600. That is the application we're going to complete online. So you're going to see exactly what I see. You're going to see how I open an account, how I log in, how I answer the questions. And when we get to difficult questions, I'm going to explain how to answer them difficult questions. Before we log in, before we do that, I'm just going to tell you what the most important documents are. I'm not going to tell you what all the documents are, just the most important ones and the things that can trip you up. So most important is the bank statements. They must have the stamp. If you going into your bank and they're printing them off and they haven't been sent to you in the post as originals, every page must have the official stamp of the bank. And make sure you tell the bank it's for a spouse visa application for your wife or husband to join you in the UK, and you need the official stamp. Now, some building societies, they can't do it, so you have to call head office, like Nationwide, for example, and they will send you in the post with a covering letter saying that it's a genuine bank statement. So you need to get that covering letter as well if it's from certain building societies, because they just do not give you this stamp. But Barclays do, NatWest do, most banks will stamp the bank statements for you. Second most important thing is the marriage certificate. Now that must have the Apostle of the Hague on the back of it or equivalent. And remember, we're not part of the European Union now, so it has to come with translation. So, before any marriage certificate from the European Union didn't need to be translated, but now it does, because we're not in there now, and it needs that Apostle of the Hague to confirm that it is genuine. That is gonna be, I'm envisaging, a common mistake. So then you need an employment letter to say you're in full-time employment, that your salary is this amount, your position, your start date. You're going to need to confirm that the pay slips are genuine, because you're going to also need 6 months pay slips. And the 6 months bank statements that I told you about earlier must correspond with the pay slips. In other words, whatever's declared on them pay slips must have gone into your bank account, because they will check. So just to recap: marriage certificate, bank statements, employment letter. Have you got any children? Birth certificates, previous divorce certificates for both the applicant and the sponsor. So you're going to need all your divorce certificates if you've been previously married. Very important documents. If it's initial application, which we're going to be doing now, you need to show the relationship through photographs. You need to show a history of the relationships, and the photographs must be scanned in PDF with the names, the dates, the locations underneath them. So in other words, you must have on the front, just below the photograph, because you're going to scan them. Hotel bookings, flight bookings. If your boyfriend or girlfriend before you got married visited you on a, let's say, Russian visa or an Indian visa, copies of the visas. We've got to show that it's a genuine relationship, and then that you've met each other before you got married. I do apologize. So anyway, yeah, so we're now going to log into the application form. I'm going to show you how to open an account. Follow me. Thank you very much. For initial application overseas, I'm going to presume that we're in Moscow. So you're going to apply for the family visa to go join your husband, to live and to work, or to join your wife. And basically, what are we going to put? We're going to put apply for spouse family visa. It is about £1,500 for the visa fee, and it is the immigration charge is another almost £1,600 for 2.5 years. So your family visas apply, extend or switch. We're going to apply. We're outside the UK, and here it will give you guidance. It's not going to give you the rules, and the guidance is often a little bit vague, but it is helpful. You can get a lot of information there. But basically, as I said in the beginning, you're going to need 6 months bank statements, 6 months pay slips, and an employment letter if you're employed and you're not a director and you're not a shareholder of a company with less than 5 shareholders. So here it says apply. Here's the overview. So we're going to go down, and you're going to need knowledge of English. So we're going to start. We're going to start now. You'll need to prepare information and documents to provide with your application. Here it will give you a brief outline outside the UK, and if you're in the UK doing either switching or applying for a 2.5-year extension. There is 2 routes once you apply. There is a 5-year route, which you'll be given now, but if after 2.5 years you cannot meet the criteria, often they'll put you on a 10-year route if you've got kids to stay in the UK. So outside the UK, you must apply online from outside the UK. Now, you might be applying as a child, or you might be applying as the husband or wife, or if you've been living together 2 years, as the partner. And if you're married to a man, called a civil partnership, you would also apply for that as well. Now we're going to apply in Russia. Next. So you've checked all the places where you can make an application, submit the documents. Everything's sent to Sheffield. All the decisions are made in Sheffield. So when you go to a visa centre, all you're doing is giving your biometrics. That's all you're doing. You're giving a recording of your voice and the fingerprint. Now, if you was in North Korea, you probably have to click on this one. But most countries have a main visa centre, and if they don't have a main visa centre, you pay a little bit extra and use a satellite visa centre. So it's a way of getting an extra £60–70 out of you, I'm afraid. And here it will tell you how to apply. It will tell you how long the visa will be. Here you'll get 33 months, etc. How we use your data. Apply now. Start a new application. And I'm going to put in my email address again. I'm going to put in a password. And we're going to save and continue. Now you'll get an email which you, so who it belongs to, you'll get an email, so it will tell you when your visa is ready. It will tell you if they need some more information, so always check your email. Do you have another email address? No. And then my telephone number, if you need my services, is 7925. It's Russian +7 925 780 8976. Whilst in the UK, whilst out the UK, and it's my mobile number. Do you have any other telephone numbers? No. I can be contacted by telephone and SMS. Obviously, if you give a landline telephone number, you can't be contacted by SMS. So here I'm just going to put in PSS, whatever, save and continue, just your name, your last name. If you have a middle name, you must put your middle name. And if you have a patronymic name like you do in Russia, you must put it in English. So you must translate it from Russian into English, your patronymic. Now, if you've been married before, obviously put all your details, and you supply divorce certificates for this application. I'm going to put no. I've never had any other names. I'm male. I'm going to join my wife. So I'm married partner. You might want to apply for, you might be going there for unmarried partner. You might be going there for a fiance visa to switch once you get in the UK. I'm going to put my address, Okay, let's put Russia. So you would put your home address here, obviously. I've put just doesn't matter, blah blah blah. Put street L. So yeah, so you don't have other addresses. Let's say you only have that address. Is this address also your correspondence address? You put yes. How long have you lived here? If you've lived there less than 2 years, it'll ask for information. I own it. Not so strict on supplying on this visa the title deed or the rental agreement because you're going to settle in the UK. So, but I'd still include it if you've got it, but they don't really need it. So, because you're going to settle in the UK. So you'd put your passport number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For example, issuing authority was Russia. Date of issue 01 2020. Obviously, all that information is in your passport. Normally, 10-year passport in Russia. I don't know what they offer in other countries. And you simple questions so far, basic answers. Do you have a national identity card? In Russia, they have an internal Russian passport. You just put the issuing authority or the issuing country, Russia. You put the start date. And obviously most of them don't have an expiry date. I'm going to put no, but if you want to see the questions, I just put, you can see their national identity number, issuing authority, issue date, blah blah blah, and then continue, and then it will take you to this question. And so the country of residency, Russian Federation, country of birth, Russian Federation. You might be from Philippines, you might be from Thailand. Place of birth, let's say I presume I was born in Moscow. I was born in England, but for this one I'm just making it up. My date of birth is 1st of the 1st, let's say 1970. Let's say, and you continue. Now, if at any time you want to edit, let's say you've made a mistake, you can show and edit your questions at any time. And you just press change. And when you complete the application, it will give you these options as well. And you can add if you want to add anything. If you forgot that you had a previous name and you didn't add it and you want to add it now, you can add it. But you can only do it until you get to the payment. Once you get to the payment, you can't make any changes. So if you have made a mistake and it's a big mistake, just start the application again. Do you or have held any nationalities? If you've held other nationalities, like you've been European Union or you've been Canadian or American, you would put yes there. Date of planned arrival in the UK, I'm just going to put 1st 1 2022. Save and continue. What languages do you know? Well, obviously, if I was Russian, I would know Russian. Add another language. Obviously, you need to know English because there's an English test normally for most people. And then continue. You could ask to be spoken to in Russian, but I would choose English because you're going to England, you're going to be living there, they want to see, but they don't often call you. It's very, very rare that they would call you the applicant. They might call you spouse. But not you. Are you exempt from the English requirements? No, you would normally need an English test. And do you have a degree taught in English? If you've been to university in English and you graduated, you can put yes, but most people obviously no. Have you passed an approved English test? Yes. Was it A1 or higher? It's better to do the A2 because then you don't have to do it in 2.5 years' time. If you do the A1, you've got to do it. If you do the A1, you've got to do it again in 2.5 years' time. A1 is much more simpler. So if your English is bad, just take the simple one and then spend 2.5 years in England learning it, working there, and then take the higher one later on. Check that your certificate or ask language school if you do not know. So So you just press yes. How did they get it? You might get an online or a certificate. I always upload even though I get an online reference number, I still upload the certificates save and continue. If it's an online one, they're going to ask a awarding body and the reference number so that they can check online themselves. But I always, if it's online, I put the online reference number and upload the certificate. Do you have any dependent children? Now, if they're not British, you need to not earn 18,600. You need to earn about, on the first child, an extra £4,000 a year, something 22,400, and then it's about £2,500, something like that, for every extra child. Can't remember the figures. I do apologise, but they are on the internet. So let's presume you have children, and you click yes. It's going to ask everything about the children, and obviously you're going to be doing their application form next. You're going to be logging out after you've completed this, and then you're going to be doing their application. But you're going to need a notary consent letter from the father, the biological father, saying, I have no objections to my son moving to the UK. Very, very important. If you don't have that, they'll give you the visa, but they'll not give the child a visa. They'll just refuse the child. You know, I always include school letters to say that only the mother attends parents' meetings. I supply a doctor's letter saying from the doctor that only the mother comes to the doctor's surgery, etc., etc. So, but I'm going to click no for that. Then you give details about the mother. I'm just going to put in, let's say she was born let's say 1940. Country of nationality, let's say they're Russian. Have they always had that same nationality? Maybe they had another nationality as well. You need to put it. You need to put no if they've had other nationalities. And then we go to father, given names. So, and again, the date of birth. I'm just rushing through this. Easy questions, nothing complicated yet. So 1950s. Country of nationality, Russian. Excuse me. Have they always had the same nationality? Yes, they have. Do you know where you'll be staying in the UK? Click yes, and then you put the postcode. I'm going to put N2 9RB. So, right, and let's put here blah 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 and continue because I didn't fill in the address. So you put in the postcode. Let's put E14. Let me put E14 then. 3NL. Find UK address. Okay, let's just put okay, and then save and continue. Is this the home of a family member, a friend, or another person you know? You put yes, and then you put your husband's details or whoever, or your wife's details. My husband or my wife. And then you put the phone number, which would normally be 44. Will you be living anywhere else in the UK? No, you'll be just normally living with your husband or your wife. Now we've got a little bit of a lag here. Okay. Have you been to the UK in the past 10 years? I'm going to put no. It's just going to ask the last 3 visits. Let's say you've been there 10 times before. It'll ask you for the last 3 visits. It'll ask the date of arrival, or the month and year of arrival, and how long you spent there, and the reason for visit, like tourism, etc. Have you been issued with a UK visa in the past 10 years? It'll just yes, and you just put the date of issue, that's all. But I'm going to put no again. I mean, I can show you what it looks like, just date of issue. I'm going to put no. Quite simple questions. I'll put one here. It's asking here, how many times have you visited the following in the past 10 years? Australia, Canada, blah, blah, blah. Ask for the last 2 visits. Let's say you've been there 6 or more times. It will ask you only for the last 2 visits. Save and continue. I'm putting once just to not having to fill it in. Let's say you went to Australia. You went there for tourism. put 1, 2020, let's say. How long did you stay there? 2 weeks. And continue. Now it's going to ask you, have you ever been to any other countries in the past 10 years, like Turkey, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, Philippines, any country not in Europe, not in the USA. You've already answered them, and it's going to ask for the date of arrival, date of departure, the reason of visit, and the country of visit for every country in the last 10 years, unfortunately, and you've got to put it there. So let's say you went to Philippines, let's say, and you went there for tourism, date of arrival, 1st of the 1st, let's say 2017, and then 1st of the 1st, sorry, let me put 10 for the 1st, sorry, 10 for the 1st, 2017, and then you go save and continue. Any other countries, we're going to put no, because it just goes on and on and on. If you've got a big travel history, sorry about that, but you've got to put it. You've got to get your passports out, look it up. If you don't have your old passport, put approximate dates, and then in the additional information, just explain, look, these dates are approximate. I don't have my old passport. Have you ever been refused a visa for any country? Better to include. You know, if you put yes, it's going to ask for details. You can see the details here. I was refused because of this reason, the country you were refused, the month, the year, and give more details and just explain why you were refused. They're not going to penalize you or hold it against you unless it was really bad refusal for something doing bad. Even if you've been given a 10-year ban from the UK, if you get married, they'll not hold that against you if you say you're sorry and explain why you did it. So I'm going to put no here. On a general visit visa, 10-year bans apply, but on spouse applications, you know, the entry clearance officer, if you've explained why you did it, will normally allow the visa to go through because you're married to a British citizen or you're moving to the UK, you know, because of marriage, etc. Have you ever breached immigration? No. Again, if you put yes, it's not a problem, but just explain it, as long as it's not a serious breach. Have you had any convictions? And you think, no, I've never had any of these, a civil penalty. If you have, mention them and explain why. If you've got criminal convictions, and I think they're more than a couple of years that you could have spent in prison, you might need to wait. You'll need all the court documents. You'll need to supply all of them. So the British Home Office will be looking, is the time spent? And what does that mean? Let's say a drug offence would go off a Class A drug offence would go off your record after 15 years in the UK. So if you got done for drugs in Russia, in theory, you couldn't apply for 15 years. That would be the problem. Some other minor offences, it might be 4 years when the time is spent. Some might be not. If it's less than, I think, 6 months, it doesn't matter. You just declare it, but include the court papers. Never had any war crimes. Seem like silly questions. Save and continue. All these are no. Terrorisms and things like that. No, you're not a terrorist normally. If you are, please don't watch this video anymore. Yeah, most people are no. I've never seen anybody put yes in 20 years. And all these, have you ever been, have you or part of employment undertaken, paid on pay, blah, blah, blah. Is there any other information about your character or behaviour you would like to make us aware of? Nope. Now, have you had a career in the armed forces, or were you called compulsory national service? You need to answer all of these. Most people put no. They might have worked for TV, then you put yes and you put where you work. They might have had, you know, you might have been in the military, national service, where you have to do compulsory 1 year in Russia. Then you put your husband's details, let's say, and then you put his date of birth, 1980, and he's a British citizen. Do you currently live with him? No, because you're in Russia applying, so you give their address in the UK. Will they be travelling to the UK with you? No, normally they're in the UK. If they're living together in Russia, obviously you will. Remember, this is based on employment. If you were working in Russia and he was earning above £18,600 if you had no children, and he was paying tax in Russia and you could demonstrate that, that's fine. But he would still need a job offer in the UK with a salary above 18,600. Here you just put just married. Why do you not live with your wife? We just got married. We will settle in the UK. Now, it might be that you don't live with him because you're waiting to meet the financials, the £18,600 a year that you must earn. He might not have been employed 6 months. So explain why you're not living with him. Have you ever lived with your partner outside the UK? If you have, put yes and put the dates and where you lived. I'm going to put no for that. Are you currently with another person? Are you currently married or civil partnership with another person? Civil partnership is when a man marries a man or a woman marries a woman. If you're a common law husband or a common law wife, that means you've been living together 2 years. But civil partnership is when a man marries a man or a woman marries a woman. I'm going to put no. Have you previously been married or in a civil partnership? So if you put yes, you'll need to include your ex-wife's details. You need to include your divorce certificate. Yes, I'm the husband in England. I'm sponsoring my Russian wife, etc., to come and join me in England. So I'm the sponsor, let's say. What is your relationship? So if it was my wife applying, she's the Russian wife, she would say, it's my husband. What is your relationship to Port? So she would put the wife, sorry. So what is your relationship? I'm his wife. Does people have an Home Office reference number? No, because I'm a British citizen. If I was a permanent resident with indefinite leave to remain, let's say I was a Russian, then that would be yes, and there would be a Home Office reference number. Now, I'm not going to put my national insurance, I'm just going to make one up. It says invalid, so I'm going to put no. I don't have one, but I do. I just don't want to give it out on this video. Then you put your email address. I can, if anybody wants a visa, please email me. Happy to help. If you need any free advice, let me know. That's my email address, philipport99@gmail.com. My phone number, it's not my WhatsApp, I've got a different WhatsApp, but 925-780-8976. That's my Russian number. I do spend a lot of time in the UK, and I do have a British number, but send me a message and I'll call you back on. Does Mr. Port have a valid passport? Let's say no, I do have a valid passport. It'll ask for my passport number, but most British people do. Have you met Mr. Port? Yes. When did we meet? Let's say we met in 2016 in January. When did your relationship begin? Let's say we started a physical relationship 1 month later. How often do you usually meet? Let's say 3 times a year. 3 times a year. Let's say. When did you last see? Let's have a look. Say first 2021. Let's say. What languages does Mr. Port speak? Well, obviously I speak English, and that's it. And then it's going to ask things like, how do we communicate? What languages do you and Mr. Port communicate in? Let's put English. Now, at any time, you can show and edit answers. So you can see all the questions here, and I'm just going to run through it. And you can see What language does Mr. Philip Port speak fluently? Let's say I wanted to change that. I could log in and just change it or add another language. Save and continue, and it'll take me back to the last question. Right, so when did we get married? Let's say we got married the first 2019. Let's say we got married in Moscow, the Zags in Moscow. Now the marriage certificate must become with a certified translation, and it must have the equivalent of the Apostle of The Hague on the back. In Russia they don't do it, but Zags will get you the equivalent. So when you're in there, say, look, you're marrying a British guy, and they will send it off to be stamped on the back. That confirms it's a real marriage certificate and not a fake. Very important, you have the Apostle of The Hague or equivalent, depending which country you live in. What type of ceremony? It was Zags I got married in, so that would be a registry office. It's not a church wedding. Did both of you attend the marriage ceremony? Often people get married by phone now, you know, like, so that's why they asked that question. Was it an arranged marriage? Did our parents arrange it? Like a lot of Asian countries, the parents decide who the woman is marrying. So yeah, and they organize the husband and wife to meet each other and get married, and sometimes they get married by phone. Was it arranged marriage? No. Were you related to Mr. Port? Nope, we were never related. Not my sister, not my cousin. Nope, we were never related. It's just, I have been married, but I'm going to put no. It's going to ask about my previous wife's details. I'm going to have to give her the divorce certificate, explain when we were married. Do we have any children together? Now, when you ask for children, this is where it gets confusing, especially in 2.5 years' time when you come to extend. You've just got to, it's going to ask the most stupidest questions and you just got to answer them. And then when it says, okay, where is the birth certificates and where is the utility bill, just put in additional information saying, look, this is my wife, these are my previous children from a previous relationship. It's a glitch on the system. But I have to answer them to get to the next question, and that's what you have to explain when it gives you silly questions about do I have any children from a previous marriage, and then it asks all the details, and it presumes, the system presumes that these children are the applicant's children. So it asks silly questions, but just put whatever you can, put whatever information you can, and if you still confused, contact me and I'll try to help you. I'm going to put no on that. I just want to get to the next question. Does Mr. Port have any children? If I put yes, at some stage it's going to presume that the applicant, you the applicant, the wife in Russia or wherever, they're going to presume that these are your children. And that's where it gets confused. I'm going to put no again. I'll show you what the questions are. If we put yes, I can show you what the questions are. It's going to ask given name, family name, country, nationality, how much is spent on this dependent each month. But again, it's normally in 2.5 years' time when you come to extend. This is the initial application. It's normally when you come to extend that you have these problems. Now, let's say we rent our property together, we have shared financial responsibilities, if we have credit cards or loan agreements together in joint names, or we have bank accounts in joint names. I'm going to put no here. But if you've got utility bill, mortgage, rent, childcare costs, loan payments, you would put yes and you would explain. Shows it's a genuine marriage. Where do you and Mr. Port intend to live? That was the address I gave before. Continue. We're going to live there. Let's say I do own that property, then I need to show the title deed or a mortgage statement. Now, how many bedrooms? We don't need any bedrooms if it's just my wife applying, the applicant. If you've got children, and let's say you've got a boy and a girl, then you're going to need 2 additional rooms. If you've got 2 girls or 2 boys, then you can have 1 additional room. The boys can share and the girls can share. So basically, how many bedrooms, it all depends on how many children are applying to meet the criteria. Now, I had a 4-bedroom house in London, so it wouldn't have been a problem. How many other rooms are there in the property? Let's say do not include kitchens, bathrooms, and let's say 1 lounge area. Now, so you get my point. If you only had 0 bedroom and it was just a studio and you only had 1, only you could stay there. If you have 2 boys, then you would need 1 bedroom as well, applying or living there. Now, it's going to ask information. Does anybody else live at this property? If I put yes, it's going to ask for their details, and you're going to need permission from them to live there. Imagine you get there in the object. So I'm going to put no to that question. So let's say I was living there and you wanted to join your husband or your wife, and I was a tenant in the building. I would say, look, I have no objections to Natasha living and staying at the property, and I'll give my passport number and my passport details in the letter. Now here you can do all the checklist again, everything there, and then you continue, and we're now going to answer a few general questions, but then we go to finance. So continue, and then it says here, do I have a carer's allowance, disability allowance? The reason why I asked that, because you then don't have to meet the financial requirements, or the financial requirements are considerably reduced. So in other words, if he's got a carer's allowance, he doesn't need to meet the full £18,600. There is an exemption. So the sponsor in the UK, I mean, so your husband who you're going to join, the British citizen, if he's got any of them, you don't need to meet the financial requirements. Is Mr. Peaport currently sponsoring any children? You should tell us about any additional children they are sponsoring who need a different type of visa to enter or remain in the UK. Do not include children who are dependents applying on this application, over 18, British citizens settled in the UK. So let's say I was previously married to a lady from Philippines and we had a couple of children, or she had a couple of children and she came to the UK and then we got divorced and I'm still sponsoring them or something like that. 95 times out of 100, that's always no. So yeah, press no there. It's normally thing. So here, because we've got no children, you can see this is what you must meet. You must be able to show that financial requirements for this route is met £18,600, and it'll show, and then you can click on that and it'll show you all the rules a little bit more in depth. And remember that 6 months pay slips, employment letter, and original bank statements, or if the printouts, every page stamped by the bank, every page stamped by the bank, if with the official stamp of the bank, for 6 months. And make sure when you apply, they're not older than 1 month when you submit online and pay. They cannot be older than 1 month. So that's from when you submit online and pay online. Now, can we meet the financial requirements? Yes, we can. Now we're going to meet it through mine employment. Now remember, when you're in the UK in 2.5 years time, you've got to go all this again, but we can use your employment as well. You can join them to meet the 18,600. We can just use yours, or we could just use your husband's. If you've got £62,500 in savings, you can just use savings. You must have held them savings above £62,500 for 6 months. But I'm going to just go on that. And you can use your savings, or you can use your husband's at the initial application as well. If you haven't held them for 6 months, but you sold your house and you had the house for more than 6 months, sure, when you sold it, get a letter from your lawyer saying, look, we've just sold this house and she held it for 2 years and that's how she got the £100,000 worth of savings. Then you could use that as well if the savings are less than 6 months. So let's say I'm a bus driver, let's say bus driver, bus driver, it's permanent position. When did I start? Been there 10 years. First of the 1st, 2011. Have you been employed by the same? Yes. If it's have you been employed by the same employer for the last 6 months prior to the date of application? If you put no, then you need to show the previous employer as well. So then you need to show 1 year's bank account details, 2 employment letters. So the same amount continuously above the financial requirement, the same amount continuously below the financial, not the same amount continuously above the requirement. So if your salary fluctuated, but it was above, you would click that, or if it hasn't, then you'd click that. But if it's below, then you've got to be careful on that. What is their annual income before tax and employment? Let's say I'm on 25,000 a year. Let's say and save and continue. What is the name of the employer? Bus company, Busco. Their address. Okay, let's say that's the address. Country, United Kingdom. Telephone number +4 111. Company email address. I'm just going to put my email address. Send me an email if you've got any questions. Tell me how you heard about me, and I'll try to help. That's my email address. That is genuine. And save and continue. I'll get yeah. So save and continue. Do you want to add any additional employment income if it's got a second job? You can't cannot combine self-employment income with employment income. You can only choose one or the other, and try to do it on employment. It's much easier. Nope, you don't want to add any previous jobs from the last 12 months. So then you can add additional information, blah, 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 continue. And then you can edit any questions. Then you continue, click the mandatory boxes, what you're going to be supplying, your test certificate, it gives you a full list. Save and continue. I can confirm I understand these conditions, blah, blah, blah. So you can see there if your application is successful. Save and continue. Now, you'll be sent a biometric residence permit to your local post office, and you'll need to collect it. I am the applicant above 18. I accept. And so you'll be given a biometric residence permit, which you travel in and out of the country. So you'll be given a 1-month visa, just for 1 month, and then you travel in and out of the UK. Now you have to go to the IHS website, and it will bring you back, and you have to pay this almost, I think, £1,600. A person 5-year application is £624. You're on a, so yours is going to be about £1,575. You're going to times that by 2.5, £624. So it depends what visa you're applying for, but the spouse visa would be 624, I believe, times 2.5. Yeah. And yep, and then you press continue. It's going to take you there, and then you fill out all this information, where you're planning to stay. Most people, are you applying within the UK? No, you're applying in Russia. Are you applying to stay in the Isle of Man, Jersey or Guernsey? Most people are not. And then you continue, and title, Mr. Always does this. It's just thing, save and continue. And then if you want to add some other person's details, you add them here. If they're not British, you don't need to do it there. You don't have any dependents, these are correct. Now if you have dependents and you put them in the application form, it will ask you to pay for them as well, but we put no for that. So that's the immigration health surcharge. You go, you book, you pay, and it'll give you it'll come up with a reference number here, UKVI, and it'll come up with the immigration health surcharge number. Print it out before you close it. It will be sent to your email, and it'll ask you for a postcode where you want to deliver the biometric residence card, and it'll deliver it to your local post office. Once you arrive in the UK, you've got 10 days in which to collect this biometric residence permit. So then once you've paid the immigration health surcharge, it will then take you back to pay the almost £1,600, and it charges you in dollars at a bad exchange rate. They make on the exchange rate, unfortunately, about 5 or 6%. And then you'll pay the visa fee, and then it will ask you to print out some letters that your husband in the UK needs to complete and fill out. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe. I do need subscribers. These visas are designed to trip you up. I strongly suggest you use my services. My rates are favourable. If you think you can handle it yourself, okay, that's good, and that's great. I hope this video helped you in the process of doing that.